And hey, we've got some first timers. Are these your friends?
No, I have.
You don't know. All right, so we got some newcomers then, man. Is there any way you can make yourself just a little bit louder?
I can talk louder. Other than that,
no. If you can't, then that's okay. I can tweak something here too.
I've never had the complaint that it wasn't loud enough. I'll tell you that.
I know, but on my thing, I start mixing in sounds and stuff. I start mixing in music, and it gets crazy. You know what I mean? You don't hear that stuff, but I do.
Let me see if I can do.
I think we got you. I think we're good.
How about now?
You're sounding good to me, man.
Perfect.
Sounding good to me. Everyone in the chat, can we all hear our very special friend here, longtime Jets fan, Zack? Can everybody hear him? All right. Oh, we got someone saying that the Blackhawks are so much better than the Leafs right now. Whoa, I like this kind of talk, eh, Zack?
The Blackhawks? Do you mean the I just lost to the Buffalo Sabres after blowing a 4-0 lead, Chicago Blackhawks? Is that the team you speak of?
This is why we like you, Zack. You got the trash talk down, that's for sure, bud.
Can't stop a broken stick shot, Kevin Lankinen over here. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I watched that game. That was the biggest dumpster fire I've ever seen, and it was glorious.
Yeah. Well, see, you follow along with a lot more of the stuff than I do, to be honest. Like I mean, we both peek in on other teams, right? And I especially loved trying to follow along a little bit with Winnipeg this year. But you also are very educated in a lot of the NHL happenings, man, right?
I try to be. Like, honestly, the thing is with me is that I've been a hockey fan before I was a Jets fan. Because we only got the Jets back when I was about 11 years old. So I got used to having to watch a lot of different teams play before they came back.
Yeah, exactly, right? You get used to it. Like, for me, it was a decade of no playoffs, right? No playoffs meant that I had to start watching other teams at least at playoff time, and then you get hooked on it. So then, you start watching it more during the regular season, too. I can't catch every game, obviously. It's a miracle I even catch as many Leaf games as I do. But, we still love the game, though, you and me. You know what I mean? We're out there actually trying to learn about it, and we enjoy breaking it down and stuff. We got Hawaiian Hoochie Mama apparently is in the chat. Says Canadians are so disgusting, but it's spelled like Canadians like the people who live in Canada. So I don't know if we're actually talking about all of us here, or just they misspelled the Montreal Canadiens.
Is it IAN or IEN?
It says IAN, so that's why I'm like, yo, are we about to all beef right now? I can't tell, but
we got some Panama fans in the chat.
Oh, nice. Hey, you're following along too with the chat. Nice, good. So listen. I had to have you out if you were available because you were the inspiration. Honestly, you were the inspiration for me.
I know I was. I feel like I created something. And the second you started it, I went, okay, well, this is not what I meant, but okay.
Right. So, we had spoken before about the Jets and the Leafs and stuff, and I actually enjoy watching their games. I feel like they play pretty similar, to be honest, in a lot of ways to the Leafs. Yeah. Very fast-paced, high offensive kind of teams. So I actually enjoy catching some Winnipeg action once in a while. We talked about it before. And I wanted to help bring attention to it. But I felt like doing anything that was too polite and nice, even though it may be sincere and genuine, would come off as fake and phony.
You picked the wrong time is the thing. The Jets, before we started talking, before we had this conversation, the Jets were I think second in the Central. And now we're third in the wild card.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the points are so close at times, it just gets crazy. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I especially don't give it no thought until we get closer to playoff time, right? But, I've seen a lot of Leaf seasons go that way myself during that decade, right? Where it was they weren't supposed to suck. They were doing quite well, actually. And then, they have just enough bad games that you're like, really? We're in this position now? And then they would come, 1 or 2 points short. 3 points short, and you're like, geez, man, can we at least try and figure out how to do this a little better,
For sure. No, the biggest problem for the Jets is that they actually were doing pretty well, and even after the game against Toronto, it still maintains sub 500 level, but it's not where you're looking okay, we're in a problem. The problem comes in the back half of January when they decide to go on a 6-game losing skid.
Yep.
That's where the whole season falls apart. Because every other point in the season, they've actually been above 500, but they've never had a better winning streak than 3 games.
Yeah.
and that's been the biggest Achilles heel for them, is this team is they're allergic to winning games in volume. So, for example, we had a possibility of getting 6 wins in a row, because we were playing 6 teams lower than us. So we decided to go, we beat Vegas, we beat Chicago. We then lose to Ottawa, 5-2, giving up 4 in the third. And then we beat Columbus, Arizona, and Buffalo. So actually, if we beat you tomorrow, that'll be our first 4-game winning streak of the season.
Hey, there you go. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've seen that stuff from the Leafs before, obviously. And like right now, I feel like we've gone on just as many ups and downs as a team like Winnipeg. But it's just that the highs went for longer and the lows went for a lot shorter. But it was around the same kind of like scenario there. You know what I mean? So it's been interesting. And yo, we got a lot of hate going on in the chat. I don't know if you're following along with this, man, but people are trying to tear into me right now. I have no idea what's going on.
What I would love I can't see the chat. I would love to know.
Well, if you want, I don't know what are you doing this from your phone? Because you can
I'm doing this from the computer.
Yeah, so throw open a separate window, right? Go to my stream, but then just mute the actual stream so you're not getting that delay through your ears, you know?
Can you send me the link to it?
I think so. Let me see, man. Because people are like trying to rip me apart right now. I don't even know where it's coming from, man. Has nothing to do with my hockey opinions, so I'm not used to it, you know?
Oh.
Here, I'll put it in I can't put it in the chat. I'm gonna put it in the chat on my stream, but that doesn't help you at all. Hang on. Here we go. Boom.
It's like
there we go.
giving a blind man a test. It's like, oh no, I can't see this.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, they're laying into me hard. I don't know why they're being so mean. Like, it really bothers me. I mean, what can I do, man? Like, hey, you know, with every comment, you're just making my my interactions go up on Twitch. So it's just like Instagram, man. Like, I never intended for that to be. I never intended for that to be actually confrontational, dude. Like, long before we met, like, I was just doing silly game day posts. That was it.
Yeah,
and I
remember that.
Yeah, I thought I was just being so over the top ridiculous that it was clearly a joke, right? Like, nobody would actually believe that this is the way I would attack those fans. Like, no way. These jokes are so childish, so stupid. You know what I mean? I'm like, there's no way. And then the first comments I actually started getting were people that were hating on me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll lean into that then. Just kind of like I did with this Winnipeg thing. I'm like, you know what? I'll be your villain for the season. I don't mind, you know?
Yeah, no, like, for me, honestly, too, I found, like, a lot of more interactions were usually for Leaf games, like, especially because the first season we did was just an all-Canadian season for us, pretty much. So, like, I'd have a good amount of game, like, there'd be a decent amount, right? And then you get, like, to a game against the Leafs, and you're like, oh, okay, so we're doing this now, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, that last season was pretty crazy in terms of just being a Canadian hockey fan, especially just watching Canadian team after Canadian team after Canadian team. I feel like that was the first good look I got on a lot of the Western teams, right? Where, like,
for sure,
like, you know what I mean? Like we talked about earlier, I can't follow every team, so seeing our 2 games against each other for the past, you know, decade or whatever before that, or however long Winnipeg's been back, like, it wasn't enough to really get a sense. So we never really know what's going on with you guys out there. And last season was really cool to actually get to see it way more than just once or twice, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Get to know each other. Like, I felt like people were jumping all the way over on, what was it, Scheifele's back when he drilled that guy from behind in the playoffs?
Which one? Oh, that, yeah, right? Okay, so the Evans hit, yes.
Yeah, like, people went all crazy on him, and I'm like, man, like, obviously, I think it's a bad hit. You don't want to hit a guy like that. But I don't think...
It's not a good spot to hit him.
No, not at all. But, like, we can all admit that. But it doesn't mean he was trying to, like, kill the guy. Like, I think he just made a bad judgment call because he really wanted to protect that post hard. That's all he did.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm actually really excited to go into the Montreal Canadiens. Like, we beat the Canadiens 8-4 in Winnipeg, and I'm so looking forward to coming into Montreal. Like,
careful with that.
It's a game. No. I proudly say, like, we posted it, and Scheifele was on our thumbnail for the last time we beat the Canadiens because I knew it had to be him.
Yeah.
It just had to be. Yeah.
Well, I know that I'm getting sick of saying good game to the Montreal Canadiens fans this season. That's for sure. Like, oh my goodness, like it's it's getting frustrating. It's like, oh, come on. But I mean, at the same time, you always got to look at the big picture to me. And that's why it's like, you know, if you're in this for the long haul, I used to be a guy that was very up and down as well, too, you know, like hot-headed one night and then super pumped the next night. And I always just found myself after season of that, just getting to the point where I'm like, I don't like this anymore. And I didn't want to lose interest in hockey. So, you know, once Matthews, Marner, Nylander all came up together, it was like, boom, okay, this is a movement now. I see what they're doing. And like, it's just been good to watch. There's just a lot more entertaining games, you know? And I feel like Winnipeg's kind of going through that rebuild kind of thing. Well, not rebuild, but like there's a generational change that happened there for sure, right?
For sure. No, there's definitely a retooling going on right now, which is good because honestly, a lot of the problems that they had this year was just people not being brought up properly into the system that they had, like that they had created, so to speak. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it can be. And you know what I mean, though? Like, it's something like all the teams kind of have to go through if they want to rebuild properly. You know what I mean? I think Edmonton's going through the same thing too now. Right? Like they're at a stage now where they're like, what are we going to do? McDavid's been here for how many years and we are not making a real run yet. Like, what is happening? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's so strange that, like, you know, the three of our teams especially, are so similar in terms of what the storyline is. That like it's just crazy to watch. Meanwhile, you got Calgary that looks way more defensive and seems to be running with it. Like they got Sutter on the bench there, so you know they're a pretty old school. But yet combining with the new analytics too, like he's pretty good at that as well. So yeah, I mean Calgary's looking good, and then you don't know what the heck happened in Vancouver, Montreal, and Ottawa, right? Like what's going on with
honestly,
them?
Like it's one of those things. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. Oh, I had to create a thing, an actual Twitch thing.
Oh, a profile?
So,
like
yeah. Oh, here we go. Yep, makes me see an ad. That's very fair.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I've never been on like Twitch. I've always I literally had to make like the password system is so weird.
Yeah,
you got to make a real tough password. Like I made like 5 sentences. I think. What is this?
I don't know, Zack. I don't know, buddy. But I tell you, like, once you get into the Twitch thing, you can start connecting a lot of things. So, like, your streaming software, you can just connect through Twitch. All the screen elements that you see, like, I use streamelements.com, and that's how they hit you up with all the moving logos and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I add a little video background. So yeah, you can connect all that through the Twitch account. It gets pretty cool, actually. And I wish I had more time because I have already found some streamers and stuff that play NHL or some just talk hockey or whatever that are really awesome to watch. I just don't have any time. I'm either doing my own or I've got things to do, right? Like,
I feel that too, honestly. I feel like that's part of the reason why I haven't. Like, it's one of those things where I have only so many socials, and like some of it I'll use mostly like stuff too for like promotion and stuff and like actual talking, but other times it's just me posting for me, so to speak. So
right.
I'm
yeah.
But now, like, to be fair, I am terrified of this game tomorrow because like going into it, we found out today that Kyle Connor and Nate Schmidt both tested positive for COVID.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up to you.
So just for background, because so I said this publicly in your chat, and I got the answer that Leviskin, Hall, and Mrazek equals Kyle Connor and Nate Schmidt. Now, I bet that sounds like an amazing trade for Toronto, but Winnipeg would kindly decline that. Mm-hmm. So for context, that is our top goal scorer for forwards and our top point getter for defense. So...
Nice. That's a good time to lose those guys.
Yeah, perfectly. We barely scratched across Buffalo tonight. It's also a back-to-back, which I don't even want to get into how that...
Yeah, but Leafs are kind of known for letting teams off the hook when they are facing them fresh and the other team's on a back-to-back.
I'm begging this is a repeat of the COVID Canucks. Otherwise, that's the only storyline I see, because... Here's the thing. I've had this game circled on my calendar because I knew I was going to stream it. And I knew it was going to probably not be the night.
Yeah.
I knew as well that, like, if we come in with, like, hot and we start off well and we get a good game in before, then I'll feel good. A 3-2 shootout win against Buffalo does not qualify a good game for us.
Look, Winnipeg, anybody in the NHL, to be honest, if you want to beat the Leafs right now, right, the secret is you got to play pretty solid defense because we got some of the best goal scoring in the league. That's just a fact. You can hate us, love us, whatever, but Marner, Matthews, guys like that, they're putting up like legendary numbers, and they're not the only ones. So I'm not trying to say like we're the best, but I'm just saying that's where the strengths are for Toronto. So you got to have solid defense to beat us, and then after that, really you just got to like put a guy in front of the net, maybe two.
I would say this: your offensive like breakdown of the team. It's very top centered. If I was to notice any weaknesses, for the offense, it's very top heavy. So if you can somehow find a line to shut down the Matthews line, you can probably make it at least to the second period without getting into any real trouble. Throughout the game, of course, you'll have to be able to manage all the guys, but it's one of those things where I see a lot of threats on the top end. Now, again, Winnipeg Jets, not known for defensive strategy whatsoever.
Okay, yeah.
Not the biggest enthusiast of that. I wish they were, but they're not.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where partially, too, I think goal scoring first is key. Like, I don't like when the Jets play from behind. It's not a very comfortable sight. Like, you see teams come back, like, even goddamn Buffalo against Chicago, like we mentioned, came back from 4-0. There's no comfort levels there when the Jets fall down. It's very much, okay, how long are we going to sit on this before it becomes a 2-0 deficit?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Hellebuck's probably playing tomorrow, even though he got last night, but that's because screw logic. Hellebuck plays when Hellebuck plays.
yeah, exactly. He's a good goalie, man, and I remember him putting up big saves against us last season.
He had a great night. Oh my goodness, tonight he was phenomenal.
Good. I have to check that out afterwards. Because I was like, I like doing the highlights on YouTube because they give you the longer versions. It's like 9 minutes.
They don't have as many ads either.
Yeah, it's awesome. So it's like you get a lot more feel for what the game really was.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely check that out later. But
like on Sportsnet, you mean, or NHL? Well, they both have.
I always go to NHL.com. Screw Sportsnet.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
If I can your own kind.
My own kind, forget that. TSN all the way. Sportsnet's not my kind.
Yeah, no, Sabres only scored 2 goals on 37 shots. That's
holy.
It was a stressful overtime too. It was a very stressful overtime.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing. So it's funny to me that I wouldn't say that the Leafs and the Jets are built the same, really, like in terms of like equivalent players. They got two different styles almost. But yet I feel like the same story is happening though, right? See, because what you just said about the Jets is kind of how I feel about the Leafs, It's been like that for us too. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would say the only thing I would say that's different is that where your guys' strengths are, and like our strengths are somewhat the same. The only difference is I would say is that your strengths are actually being very well fulfilled. Our strengths this season haven't been. Like goal scoring is significantly down, despite the fact that Kyle Connor's pretty much 4th in the league in goal scoring.
Yeah.
The rest of the team has kind of slowed down quite a bit. Like, for example, let's just go through goals for a second. Kyle Connor, 41 goals. The next best one is Mark Scheifele at 26.
Yeah.
Dubois at 25. Ehlers is down 20 because he's been injured for quite a bit. Stastny, 17. Morrissey, 11. Yeah. Then you just go to 10 or less. Like, it's a lot of searching for goals, and the answer has always been Kyle Connor, which is a lovely answer until he's injured. And then it's a very frustrating answer.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Jets are one of those teams for me that feels just like anything's possible. And I feel like that with the Leafs as well, right? That it's like, there's been so many just random inconsistencies that, like, as long as they hit it big when they need it most, I mean, the Jets can be dangerous, man. And I'm not going into this game tomorrow thinking anything light about them. I never have, right? Like,
right.
I wish the people that got mad at me for all those Jets posts and stuff like that really understood, like, what I was doing, because I'm like, I don't hate this team. I don't hate your fans. Like, I don't really have time to really get into a serious rivalry with a team that we faced twice. Mm-hmm. Right? Except for maybe for sure. If I was to have any kind of West Coast rivalry right now, it would be with Vancouver, first of all. right? Just because I think out of all you Westerners out there, well, it's hard to consider Winnipeg in the West.
Central.
I know you guys are Central, but you know what I mean? Like, I consider everything west of Toronto, or west of Ontario. That's west to us out here, right?
You slipped up there. You said west of Toronto, I hear.
Yeah.
What's west of Toronto? West.
Yeah.
What's east of Toronto? It has to be east.
Yeah, that's it. That's where the line is. That's it. Hey, if you think about it, we started on the west, came back over to the east. Well, I guess way back when there was only really like one thing, and then we were in the east, then the west, then the east again. Like, we kind of are. It's us, Detroit.
Detroit's the one that really moved a lot.
Yeah, man. The poor Detroit, they bounce around, like, all the time, so.
Having to go out to Denver, as somebody who plays against Denver, that's not a fun road trip.
No,
like,
man.
It's like, you'll play Nashville on Thursday, and then they'll be like, yeah, now fly to Denver on Friday. And it's like, that can't be a good back-to-back. That's not great. Like, it's not like a good back-to-back for the Jets is a home-and-home series in, like, Minnesota and Winnipeg.
Yeah,
Calgary and Alberta, like stuff like that. Even this, actually, to be honest, even this back-to-back, not the worst. Like, Buffalo to Toronto, it could be a lot worse in terms of, like, travel time.
Yeah. No, it could be. It could be. Although these days, it's hard to really consider travel too much of a factor other than, like, missing your family. Because, like, these are NHL teams now. They got the cushiest of the cushy stuff. Like, there's nobody, like, cruising around on buses anymore, right? Even on the broke teams. Like, it's like, in order to be in the NHL, you must have a plane. You know? So, like, at least it's not as bad as it used to be. They got chefs and stuff to cook them food and all kinds of stuff.
You only hear about it when it's really bad. Like, I remember, actually, that 2017-18 run, I remember before Game 3, the Jets couldn't fly into Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now, they end up losing this game 6-2, so I doubt it matters. But they literally had to get in on the day because of a snowstorm in Minnesota, which is the most ironic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't hear about travel until it's a huge issue. Like,
yeah, exactly.
No one talks about it otherwise.
It's not a problem until it's a problem, and then it's a problem. Like,
yes, for sure.
Speaking of problems, looks like we phased out those lunatics that were going nuts on me in the chat there. I don't know what happened, but
I missed them.
I know. I'm like, I don't know why they gave up. Like, you know what I mean? Is it because our folks like Papa Thrash and Leslie just gave them the business, and all of a sudden they're gone now? I don't know, but they were going hard on me, man. I'm like, geez, I hope my kids don't read any of that. But oh well. I mean, I kind of have a free chat policy. I don't really block too much, you know.
No, neither do I, honestly. Like, you know, it's one of those things. Like, I think like sometimes, like, what I like to do though too is I like to, if you'll notice on my videos, there's always likes on people's comments because I always wanted to be able to think that at least I give the time of day to their opinion. Yeah. And I always think it doesn't go well enough how. It isn't spoken enough how much you care about when somebody comments. Like, I do very much appreciate it, so I will
absolutely
like it on both my accounts. You'll see notable, though, the odd one, though, where I'll be like, yeah, nah, not you. You don't know. Yeah. Steve Dangle wannabe, that's not even original. Get out of here. Not happening.
Oh, my goodness. I think we all get that one, don't we?
Then, you know what the worst thing is, though? Steve Dangle started reacting live to games after I did that. I did that before him.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the one thing I'm like, you know what? And they don't even have a Jets game in the corner when I do it. He gets to do it on Sportsnet and they show the game.
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh man, like, look, obviously the guy was a huge inspiration for me when I got started on this stuff because I'm like, because I didn't realize that people would actually want to watch somebody who's clearly biased about their team talk about the games. Because, you know, when you watch it on Sportsnet or TSN, the whole thing is they're supposed to be unbiased for the sake of presenting an opinion, because that way people will believe it. But here they were, like, millions of people following this guy, and he's a clear Leafs fan, so I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that? Like, all right then, all right. But I think
didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, like, I just didn't realize it was a whole thing. Now, don't get me wrong, he's not the only one even before that, right? Like, there's other people doing other sports even before him. He wasn't the first guy on YouTube ever to talk about a sports team. Right?
Yeah, I would say, like, even, like, when I started doing it back, like, last season, I even acknowledged the fact, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like Steve Dangle, except, like, Steve Dangle has a no-swearing policy. I pretend to try to have a no-swearing policy. Like, he's a Leafs fan. I'm a Jets fan. There are suitable differences in our production value and, like, content.
Yeah, you could do things like do a bit of a different format, right? Like I don't really do like a YouTube video. I just kind of post up these sections because I kind of like the free form of it. You know, we're having a discussion. It's kind of like, you know, that's very in now with podcasts and stuff. So I kind of like it because, I'll slip up and stumble. And that's kind of fun because you guys can make fun of me for it. And it's hilarious. Like, it's all good.
Like that. Yeah, see, that's the thing, too. I don't think I do all, like, it's pretty obvious, like, once you watch it, but, like, I do all my stuff in one take. Like, so if I fuck up, I'll be like, and now, well, now we're over here, guys. I don't know how we got here, but we're here. Like,
yeah, and I like the fact that, you know, you got someone off camera that you're talking to a lot of times.
It's very helpful. Yeah, that shout out to my brother. My brother does all the editing. So if you see any editing work done and like puts the what's it called, the clips in, the guy who makes all the thumbnails, that's Carter. He also covers all of like football for CFL fans.
Nice.
It's very nice.
I think we've spoken. Like I think we've chatted back and forth to each other a couple times as well too. Always seems pleasant. Always seems like a nice dude.
Oh, he's such, honestly, like I got my mom's snarkiness. He got our dad's like humbleness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, here we are. You know what I mean? Here we are. Like, yes, there are people that will always have started the scene before we got here, and we're always going to be thankful and respectful for the fact that they did that. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, I got no problem calling people out when I think that their opinion's garbage, you know? And unfortunately, there's been some people, you know, even major sportscasters and stuff that I'm like, I don't agree with that opinion. I think people are just trying to sensationalize things so that they can get clicks and ratings and all that stuff. And yeah, that's fun for a little while, but after a certain point, it becomes so easy to spot. Nothing feels genuine anymore. It feels like fake.
Yeah, I get that.
So, you know what I mean? I always appreciated your realness, so that's why we like having you around. You know, and clearly I try to be as real as I can too, which is often stupid and outspoken, but that's part of the fun. Like, we all got stuff on our walls, man. We clearly, you know, I mean, look where we are. We're not the professionals, so like, if you're gonna get mad at our opinion, then like, there's a million other things to watch. Is what I figure, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, come on, man. We're just doing our best. So, and a lot of times when people come in with really vulgar stuff, even like when they try to get racist and sexist and stuff, like, I've met people that do that stuff, and like in real life, they're not like that at all. A lot of them, that's not even the real side of them. What they really enjoy is they really just love watching people freak out, and they know those are hot button topics to get people to freak out. And I'm not agreeing with it. I don't like it. I ignore it, and then hopefully it goes away. I feel like that's usually the best response because that's really all they want is attention, anyways, right?
Yeah, no, like I agree with that. I think for me a lot of times, like I've done like lives now, so what I do a lot of times is I'll indulge any types of jokes too, but I will like obviously with limits. But I mean, like if you overindulge like more positive type attitudes there, or even like negative attitudes that are not necessarily negative to a person or a group, if that makes sense. Like,
Yep.
For example, a very common one is we are playing like trash. That is a negative attitude I can easily work with.
Yeah.
Like, it's just honestly whatever's relevant and top, like, and actually like proper, so to speak.
Well, when it comes to all this online stuff, I just figure like unless they take it to like those pretty much two extremes, three extremes, you know, homophobia, sexism, racism, stuff like that. If they're gonna go to that level, all right, then I'm ignoring it. And if it's really bad, I've even blocked a couple things in the past. But normally, people are just trying to be completely outrageous at me. And you can say whatever you want about me. There's nothing that people could put in chat form on a comment section about me or about my team that's ever going to cause me a moment's bit of sadness. Because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is just online BS, man. Like, I really don't care what anybody has to say. You know, we just do it because it's fun. We do what we want to do. So...
Okay, I do have a curious question, though. A little off topic, but technically...
Oh, we're all off topic tonight. It's just for fun. What do we got?
Okay, so who would you rather play in the first round? That's my real good... Like, so your options are probably, like, you got Tampa Bay, you got Florida, you got Boston. That's pretty much your only options, because there's a bit of a stretch between Florida and even Toronto.
Right, I saw the stats. I think somebody on... one of our friends on Instagram there had up the percentages of, like... what's likely to happen, and it's like Carolina and Florida, they're two lowest, I think, right?
You're like least likely to lose, like because those two are like pretty much locked in top spots at the
exactly. And we're probably not going to fall low enough to actually face them.
Right, unless the Rangers push out the Hurricanes, I don't find that likely. It's a tough. It could be up in the air, honestly. Like, who would you? Well, let's say it this way. Okay, between Carolina, New York, Boston, Tampa Bay, and Florida, how would you want to see that go? Who would you like?
Okay, well, for the record, I'm going to play this game with you because you're asking. But for the record, though, any of them. I'm not scared of nobody.
I've already seen that Instagram
Yeah,
post.
so I'm not going to get into that, right? I know you know
I'm
all
curious.
about that. But because you're playing the game, I'll give you one. I would say probably Tampa then.
Okay.
I think for some reason, Tampa's one of the rare teams that Toronto is kind of in the head of a little bit. I think Tampa often tries to overplay Toronto. They think too hard against us for some reason. Whereas if they play as confidently against Toronto as they do a lot of other teams, I don't think there'd be any contest. I think Tampa's a much better team right now.
Yeah, no, I see a good... For me, I always try to look at certain narratives and then think back and I'll be like, hey, how did fate work on that narrative? Like,
yeah.
For example, like, Vegas choking against the opponent they're finally expected to beat easily. Yeah. That's a fun narrative. They do it so often, losing to Dallas, San Jose, and Montreal. With the Leafs, I see it, if you're finally going to get over the hump, it has to be something. So the two-time Stanley Cup champion, defending Stanley Cup champion, seems like the story that could be very well written. Like, people will say Boston. Yep. No offense. I think you had that shot. You missed that shot.
Yeah.
You could still take them out in the second round, maybe. But I don't know if that'll be the one. And honestly, that's even if they make the second round. Like, if they're in the wild card, I wouldn't want to put them against the Panthers, for example. Like, the Panthers, I know you guys beat the Panthers recently. Yeah. Healthy Panthers against a healthy Boston. It's not even close.
Right. Okay. So here, like, this is, see, this is what I mean, and I don't mean any disrespect here. When When there's so much media about Toronto, this is why it gets fun for us sometimes. It's because if you look at our options, almost everybody has a good storyline for Toronto right now. In terms of, if they were to win, there's a win plus. It's not just about the win anymore. It's about the win plus this other story, right? So
more like the past story that's already been written.
Right. So Carolina, right? If we were to beat them in a first round matchup, it's the whole, we overcome Freddie, right? Got rid of Freddie, bringing Campbell instead. Freddie goes up against us in the first round. We come out ahead. People are going to be like flipping out, being like, what a trade or whatever a move it was, right? Like craziness.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
So that's a storyline. If it's Boston, that one's obvious enough. Although I'm with you in the sense that, to me, there's no rivalry with Boston anymore. It's a rivalry with the first round.
Yeah, like it's
right?
No, it's more focused on the first. Like, is there a rivalry with Boston? Well, looking at what Taylor Hall did last night, I'd say it's still a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like not playoff based.
Yeah.
In the sense of
it has nothing to do with those past losses anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. So, but just for the sake of people will say it, people will talk about it. That would be a storyline as well too. They finally overcome Boston in the first round. So there's another win plus. Tampa, like you said, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. So there's that. Boom. Guys that finished the run for the Stanley Cup champions. And then Florida is an option. Florida, it's probably the least one, other than the fact that they've been so dominant this season in the regular season.
Yeah.
That in itself might be a little bit of a story.
Be the best, beat the best type thing.
Yeah, beating the best, for the season, that would be something. Especially if it was like a sweep or a 4-1 series for Toronto. I mean, that would get talked about huge. So there's kind of a storyline with just about every option. I mean, I know I'm missing a couple here. I guess if they somehow got Washington, which I don't think that's even possible now.
I doubt you get Washington.
Right, honestly, but if some freaky thing happened there.
Washington's probably the easiest matchup for you in the entire Eastern Conference.
Probably.
Washington has looked very, very mortal.
But they're the ones that started it all with this new generation, right? They were in against Washington and lost in 6.
Okay, so actually I have a funny story on that. Yep. I actually was hoping that you guys would beat the Capitals back then. Mm-hmm. I actually watched that series in depth. I watched pretty much all of those games, and I was watching for the Leafs there. And I remember that because 95% of those games went to overtime. That was a very good
series. They kept going to overtime, man.
You lost one game in regulation, game 4. That was it. You
out
lost
of 6 games.
Overtime. You lost in overtime, you won in double overtime, you won in overtime, you lost in regulation, then you lost 2 straight after that in overtime.
Oh my goodness. I don't remember the details like that. But
I just remember I was in high school at the time, and I remember seeing that Kasperi Kapanen goal where the guy snuck it backhand. I'm like, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's just nasty right there.
Yeah, that was a fun series just because we weren't even expected to be there. That was right after Babcock gave the whole speech at the beginning of the season of, there's going to be pain ahead. There's going to be pain. So don't start thinking that we're going to be making moves and climbing the ladder. And then first year in, they're making the playoffs and you're like, oh, geez, here we go. It was like playing with house money at that point, right? But now there's all these expectations and blah, 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 and people getting upset all the time. And
those pesky expectations.
Yeah, well, honestly, though, you know what I mean? That's the secret to all this. Don't have any expectations. The show is the show.
Me, expectations are annoying.
Right? In life, you should probably have some. But for sports, no. Sports is just where you go to cuss and swear and you feel good about yourself for a little bit. You know what I mean?
No. It's totally, the reason I do it, and the reason especially now, I wanted to stream a lot of games, it's partially for growth. It does help getting your name out there. Yeah. But also, too, just for the fact, we're going down the stretch. Every game means so much to the Jets. I might as well, try to get as many as I can. The only one I haven't actually done was the one against Columbus, because I actually got to be there for Laine's return.
Nice.
It was very nice.
So how do you feel as a Jets fan, Zack Nolan of Nolan Hockey Podcast? I should be saying your name more so that the viewers know who I'm talking to.
Oh, here. Yes. On what in general?
What do we think of Patrick Laine here? What are we talking about?
Okay, so Patrick Laine, here's the way I see it. If you look back and say who won or lost the trade, it's hard to quantify because until both those guys have played out their entire time with each team, we'll never have a really definitive answer. If you look at point numbers, Laine has the edge in points per game. Pierre-Luc Dubois has the edge in points. If you asked me who is a better complete player, I would say Pierre-Luc Dubois. If you asked me who is a better player at producing, I would say Patrick Laine. If you asked me of the top 3 players that got drafted that year, Matthews, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Patrick Laine, who would win in a fight? I'd say Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah.
Mostly because if people no, this is not Matthews hate, but for the record, if you guys look up the stat, Pierre-Luc Dubois is top 10 in penalty minutes.
Right.
And still has over 50 points. So get out of here with that. No.
Get out of here.
No. I like Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I think at the end of the day, if I sit there and just keep worrying about what would have happened with Patrick Laine, it's not going to be anything effective. You can sit there the entire time and be like, well, that's a shame that we didn't get it, but it's not, it doesn't matter. I'd rather just kind of be happy with it. I'm happy we have him. I'm happy Patrick Laine is doing well.
Well, I guess what I should rephrase the question is, when Laine ended the game in overtime against Toronto, how badly did you take that out on Leafs fans?
I didn't take that out, but I found personal enjoyment out of it. For example,
right, that's fair.
This is the way I see it. Okay, I don't know if you realize this. Jets are low key organ donors in the NHL.
Yeah.
Look around through teams. We're littered everywhere. We're in there. Andrew Kopp just scored an overtime goal for the Rangers tonight. Good on him. I hope he wins the Stanley Cup in New York. Patrick Laine scored all the goddamn time in Columbus. Good on him. Jack Roslovic also scores in Columbus. Fuck him. But Jack's the little engine that couldn't. But you just littered guys throughout. Brandon Tanev is on Seattle. Love him. There's just guys that the Jets either drafted or gave a chance on, and we developed a lot of good players, even just utility players for other teams. And there's a sense of pride there, especially when they come back. A lot of them get good reactions. Even goddamn Derek Forbort. One season, 14 points, Derek Forbort, who did nothing but literally sit next to Neil Pionk and have to be bailed out by Neil Pionk every game. Even he got a good reaction. There's a lot of love between former Jets, to be honest. So. Well,
we get that in Toronto. I'm pretty sure people like Leslie and Papa Thrash there would totally chime in and be telling us about former Leafs that we always have love for. I think Like, I think, was it Reimer for sure? I mean, Reimer's one.
Reimer's got love here, actually, too, because he's from Manitoba.
Yeah. Well, there you go. A little extra for you guys over there, too.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I saw him when he came in here. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we beat the Sharks, which made it a lot easier. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see. Oh, that reminds me. You get to see Adam Brooks in his new Winnipeg Jets uniform tomorrow night.
Okay.
That's fun. Former Leaf player.
You know what? But he's one of those. He's one of those filler pieces. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad guy now.
No. But like when we played against Brooks, it was annoying because he'd always get a point against us.
Yeah. And
it drove me nuts.
Well, Papa Thrash over here is talking about Phil Kessel as being another one for the Leafs. That's just nice to kind of see succeed.
Sure.
Right?
Phil Kessel's great. Everyone loves Phil.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like him when he was here. I'll tell you that. That was probably the last era of Leafs that I really was like, still flipping out during games and stuff.
A bad time as well, too, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of problems back then, I believe, in those Leafs. Yeah,
well,
no, it's weird, though. With some players returning, I remember when you guys picked up Brooks, and the next day you put him on waivers, and then the Winnipeg Jets grabbed him.
Oh,
and
dude.
Leafs fans wanted our heads on spikes. They're like, how dare they? I'm like, if you loved him so much, why would you drop him the next day?
Yeah, wow.
Like, man didn't even get to book his flight.
And that's business, man. Sometimes you got to make moves, okay? Sometimes the moves aren't obvious, right? Leslie knows what I'm talking about.
Doing business things.
Right? I didn't even realize, though, we talked about Kessel there before. I didn't even realize that Kessel, I forgot, that Kessel was a cancer survivor, man. Like, I remember hearing that about him, like, early on, but I forgot all about it after watching him play. I was tearing hides off this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And as Leslie's pointing out there in the chat, like, yeah, he's a cancer survivor. And, like, now that I think about it, I'm like, holy jeez, that means everything I saw him do was even more impressive now that I think about it.
He's also, like, he plays so often. Like, actually, like, when Arizona was in Winnipeg pretty much earlier in the week, the Jets actually gave him a little bit of a tribute for becoming the second longest active, like, games played streak right now in the NHL.
Yeah, the Iron Man streak, right?
Yeah, because he's only behind Keith Yandel, who still has an active streak going on in Philadelphia.
Holy jeez, Yandel.
Yeah. Yandel's insane. You know what? I'm kind of happy. Like, Yandel has went all over the place. I'm happy that when he got dropped by Florida, the Flyers just signed him and said, "Yep, you're gonna play 82 games here, buddy. Mm-hmm. That's what you're gonna do. Don't get injured. We're good."
We got an update in the chat here saying that St. Louis is beating the Canucks 1-0.
Buddy, I have it open right now. It's tied 1-1.
Oh, it's tied 1-1. You probably get the game a little sooner than out in Manitoba.
Oh, obviously. Canucks open the scoring with Alex Chase on the brand new St. Louis Blue. Nick Leddy tied it 1-1.
So they're playing St. Louis, and their guy that just scored was from St. Louis?
Brand new St. Louis Blue. So he was just traded from Detroit.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see.
Yeah, there's not enough guys from St. Louis. There's like 3. Maybe in the NHL. There's like Patrick Maroon and 2 others.
Well, you know what? Like, I tell you, though, you got to give the Blues respect just because of how they won it the year that they did, like dead last in January.
I memorized that season very well.
There you go.
That's well in my memory. That was the year we were supposed to win. Because we actually went all in again. And actually, I kind of feel like we kind of are the reason this happened, because they literally shipped. So first off, us and the Blues had a whole thing that season. We played each other the first game of the year. We beat them 5-1.
Yeah.
Then we get to probably one of the most significant games in Jets 2.0 history.
Yeah.
Laine scores 5 goals against the St. Louis Blues, and we beat them 8-4.
Oh.
So, for other context here, there is a promotion where if a Jets player scores 4 goals in a game, a random shopper in Manitoba, in Canada, will get $100,000. If, however, a Jet gets 5, that goes up to $1 million.
Holy. That's a nice chunk of change.
He just gave a random person in Manitoba $1 million. They murder the Blues 8-4. The Blues immediately, they're not his starter anymore. He's back up now. Mm-hmm. And then we play him first round of the playoffs. It's a bloodbath of a 6-game series. The Jets find out that they're allergic to a lead. And the rest is history.
Oh, man. And that's history you got to live with, And certainly that's something I can always relate to from different hockey fan bases, is that you always have your scars. You always have your history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But I think I'm going to wrap it up about now there, Zach. Thanks for coming by, man, and I wish you luck tomorrow. I felt it would probably be better to do this tonight, because that way if something goes terribly wrong tomorrow for either of us, where you don't feel obligated to come on and have to be nice to each other right afterwards, There
we go.
Give ourselves a cool-down period and maybe check back in right before playoffs or something. What do you say?
Oh, yeah. Well, your playoffs are whatever.
Hey, you guys might make it, man. It's not too late.
If Dallas could decide to start losing, that would be goddamn fantastic. They just seem determined to not.
I'll throw a hex on them for you. Okay, we'll deal with that there. All right, so just make sure all your crew, man, check out the video when this goes up on YouTube tomorrow morning, all right? Make sure everyone comes out and leaves little comments and stuff, all right?
I will try to do that.
I'm going to be looking to you, man, all right? You're the successful one now. I look up to you.
The successful one.
All right? I see the numbers, all right? You got the success going now. I'm mooching off you now. That's the deal.
That's the stream numbers, my man. That's stream numbers.
All right. Well, either way, I want some of that. All right. I'm here to rob you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by again, man, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Sounds good.
Peace.
Peace.
And there it is. Thanks to you lovely two people who stuck around for our conversation through the most of it there. If I lost you along the way, my apologies. I get spaced out in the conversation sometimes. I forget that there's a whole live element to the show as well, with fine people like yourselves who always have something cool to contribute. And thanks for sticking up against those total jerks that came along. I don't know what that was about. That was a little strange if you ask me. I might have to blur some of that out when I go to put it up on YouTube. Just my kids don't come across it or something. Holy jeez. Somebody pooped in their cornflakes, that's for sure, huh? So, thanks so much for being here, right? I always appreciate it. We're going to get back to it again tomorrow after the Winnipeg Jets game. Chaos will ensue, and I'll be right here, all right? So hopefully you're there too. Sound good? Enjoy the game, and whatever you do, don't do what I would do.